It's explained that all four of those correspond to the four letters of God's name, the four-letter name of God, the name that references God's infinity. The first letter of the four-letter name of God is the Yud. Yud, though it's not the first letter of the alphabet, happens to be the fundamental component letter of any other letter in the whole of the alphabet. In other words, especially when we look at how a Torah scroll or a tefillin or a mezuzah are written, in other words, what's called the scribal arts, when one writes Hebrew based on Jewish law, there's no Jewish law governing the font of a newspaper or of a note that you're going to scratch and put onto the refrigerator. But there is a lot of detail in the Jewish laws that describe how every single letter of the Aleph Bet is to be written if it's being written for one of those three holy objects, a Torah scroll, a tefillin, or a mezuzah. If we take a look at the way that practically we write any of those letters, you always begin with a Yud and then continue based on the form of that letter. However the letter is going to look in the end, you always start with a Yud. Yud becomes the foundation of every letter in the Aleph Bet. By that same characterization, the Yud is the foundation of anything that we're talking about. It's the foundation of the four-letter name of God. In this case, one's name is the foundation of one's true identity, one's Hebrew name specifically. Remember, they guarded their Hebrew names and did not take upon themselves and did not give their children Egyptian names. By extension, the next letter in the four-letter name of God is that same Yud that is now given width and depth by becoming a Hey. A name word in a language. So in the same way that they maintained their Hebrew names, they maintained their Hebrew language. In the four-letter name of God is a Vav. You take that Yud and you give it depth. You take all that spirituality that the first two letters depict and you bring it down into the practical physical world. Now we're talking about how one dresses. So far, whether it's the name or the language, we've been talking about speech. There are three what are called garments of the soul. One's thoughts lead to speech, lead to action. Speech isn't quite as distal, isn't quite as practical as action. The first two, name and language, refer to speech, but then how we dress is now in the realm of action. The Vav, which takes that spirituality and brings it down. The shape of a Vav is basically a line that descends and brings it down into the physical world. But that's not the name. That's not the end of the four-letter name. The final letter of the four-letter name takes again that spirituality that has been brought down into the physical realm and gives it once more width. That's maintaining their modesty, maintaining their morality. Certainly in the area of action and in a very corporeal aspect of action, how they are going to behave in those kinds of situations. Because, therefore, what comes out is guarded, they maintained their essential identities, their holiness in all realms, be it in speech, be it in action, covering the entirety of the four-letter name of God. That is, in fact, what merited that they should be redeemed.